Master this float adjustment method, and you can catch any fish. Fishing essentially boils down to bottom fishing and float fishing. For float fishing, adjusting the float is straightforward, as long as part of the float tip remains visible above the water when hanging double baits in mid-water, it's sufficient. Thus, discussions about float adjustment rarely focus on float fishing. Bottom fishing, however, is entirely different. In suspended hook fishing, the length of the subline varies, and when bottom fishing, the contact state of the double sublines with the bottom differs, leading to variations in sensitivity and dullness. But no matter how many float adjustment methods you master, in natural wild waters, most methods go unused, and the result is often adjusting to level water. 1. Adjusting to level water. What is level water adjustment? It means adjusting the float in mid-water so that the tip is barely above the surface, roughly parallel to the water. This is called adjusting to level water. For easier float observation, the fishing depth, visible float segments, must be higher than the adjusted depth. This is the classic method of adjusting low and fishing high. Many anglers prefer adjusting to level water and fishing at two segments, primarily because a higher visible float segment makes observation easier. Whether it's a sudden drop or rise of the float, even small movements are easier to detect when fishing at a low visible segment. Only when the fish bite is extremely active would one choose to fish at a higher visible segment, as it shortens the time for the float to settle, potentially landing a few more fish in the same period. But in wild fishing, is the fish bite ever that active? Naturally, no. There are actually 3 ways to adjust to level water. Most common, adjusting with empty hooks. Set the float to level water in mid-water with empty hooks, then hang bait to find the bottom and fish at around 2 segments. Regardless of whether the lead sinker touches the bottom at this point, it ensures the entire setup is on the bottom. When using the adjust low, fish high method, you never have to worry about the setup failing to touch the bottom after hours of fishing. Adjusting with double baits, in mid-water, hang double baits and adjust the float to level water, then keep the same baits to find the bottom and fish at around 2 segments. This also ensures the setup touches the bottom but is more sensitive than adjusting with empty hooks. Why? Suppose the weight of double baits equals 2 segments. Adjusting to level water with baits is equivalent to adjusting empty hooks to 2 segments and fishing at 2 segments with a smaller difference between the adjusted depth and fishing depth. Sensitivity naturally increases. Adjusting without sublines. This method is surprisingly widely used because it aims to have the lead sinker lie flat on the bottom. A lying lead sinker offers many advantages in wild fishing. It stabilizes the setup during water flow, increases the difficulty of float movements to filter out small fish bites effectively, and most importantly, prevents bait blocking, when the subline or hook obstructs fish from eating, for bottom-feeding fish. With the lead sinker lying flat, the hook, bait, and subline won't block the bite, leading to deeper hook sets and fewer fish escaping. Thus, even though all are level water adjustments, their sensitivity varies drastically. The dullest is adjusting without sublines, followed by empty hooks, and the most sensitive is adjusting with baits. To simplify, when sublines are used, the smaller the difference between the fishing depth and adjusted depth, the higher the sensitivity. 2. Adjusting to level water and fishing at 2 segments. If you adjust to level water without sublines, the lead sinker will definitely touch the bottom. But if you adjust empty hooks to level water and fish at 2 segments, does the lead sinker touch the bottom? This is interesting. When adjusting high and fishing low, you must consider bait weight. For example, adjusting to 4 segments with bait weight equal to 2 segments means fishing at 2 segments or higher, never 1 segment. For adjusting low and fishing high, hook weight comes into play. If the hook weight equals 2 segments, fishing at 2 segments means the bottom fully counteracts the hook weight, exerting no pull on the float. The hook, bait, and both sublines lie completely flat and relaxed on the bottom. If the hook weight is less than 2 segments but you fish at 2 segments, it means the bottom counteracts part of the lead sinker's weight, and the sinker starts touching the bottom. If the double hook weight exceeds 2 segments, both hooks and baits are on the bottom, but the upper hook bait isn't fully lying flat. When targeting big fish, hooks are usually large, with the weight exceeding 2 segments. Thus, the lead sinker rarely touches the bottom, and the hook bait isn't fully lying flat either. About the author: I'm a fishing enthusiast and content creator who loves sharing tips. Follow me to exchange fishing skills and discuss the little details of wild fishing. Give a like, save this post, and follow to never miss future updates.